Democracy Week is a vibrant week in which lots of activities are providing opportunity to review the state of democracy in Kenya and in the region. It comes at a time when the world is still struggling with the Covid-19 pandemic. We've seen significant social, political, and legal challenges globally. Democracy is as much a process as a goal. Only with the full participation of and support by the international community, national governing bodies, civil societies, and individuals can the ideal of democracy be made into a reality to be enjoyed by everyone and everywhere. This means that we all have responsibility to ensure we have a democracy that functions well. I'm very impressed with the planned activities for this week and the strong emphasis on women and young people. Women should, of course, enjoy the same rights, resources, and representation as men, and young people should, of course, be let into the democratic process. As a start for this Democracy Week, I call on government and state actors to act upon their fundamental obligation in protecting rights and inclusiveness.
Democracy must be won every day. We have to defend it, and we have to make sure it stays. This is for that bigger quest for democracy every day that we want to be part of. We want to join you in that, and we want you to join us in that, because it's happening all over the world. We take several steps back now, and we need to remember that we're in this together, and it has to be the people that decides what our societies should look like.
Democratic trajectories are always struggles, because if you are dominated, you are exploited, you're oppressed, you must resist. It's very, 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 very important that we focus on the youth, women. We will have to rely on, to make the necessary changes.
If you look at the investment the government has put in terms of managing communications, PR, hiring Cambridge Analytica, it's a recognition of what they face and an awakening population that is not letting things just slide. So I'm concerned in terms of the character of our politicians and in terms of them inciting their constituencies, saying we are fighting. I don't know, people are talking about peace. Like, which Kenyans are fighting, In terms of Kenyans themselves, the people, the majority of the people, I'm encouraged by the fact that they are engaging in their politics. So we're not yet democratic, but we're getting there.
Yeah. This is supposed to be an institution that protects us and serves us, and if they're not able to effectively, then it means that I will not be able to get justice, or anyone else. How can we make a society that's totally equal based on the Constitution, affirmative action, and building up on historical injustices and contexts?
Our history has been seriously doctored to celebrate the villains and to forget our heroes. In our political education, we are telling the true history. We're calling out the villains for who they are. Those we are told who are founding fathers, and the way they keep robbing this country till today. So through political education, we're giving the right history, and we're radicalizing the youth on the ground, telling them that it is time to take back their country.
I would say we are not in the red. We are not in the red.
Are we in yellow? Are we in green? Where are we?
We're in the green.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the green. We'll be able to deliver an election. I can assure you, without any fear of contradiction, that as far as the voting itself is concerned, it is a very, very transparent and straightforward exercise.
Democracy Week is a vibrant week in which lots of activities are providing opportunity to review the state of democracy in Kenya and in the region. It comes at a time when the world is still struggling with the Covid-19 pandemic. We've seen significant social, political, and legal challenges globally. Democracy is as much a process as a goal. Only with the full participation of and support by the international community, national governing bodies, civil societies, and individuals can the ideal of democracy be made into a reality to be enjoyed by everyone and everywhere. This means that we all have responsibility to ensure we have a democracy that functions well. I'm very impressed with the planned activities for this week and the strong emphasis on women and young people. Women should, of course, enjoy the same rights, resources, and representation as men, and young people should, of course, be let into the democratic process. As a start for this Democracy Week, I call on government and state actors to act upon their fundamental obligation in protecting rights and inclusiveness.
Democracy must be won every day. We have to defend it, and we have to make sure it stays. This is for that bigger quest for democracy every day that we want to be part of. We want to join you in that, and we want you to join us in that, because it's happening all over the world. We take several steps back now, and we need to remember that we're in this together, and it has to be the people that decides what our societies should look like.
Democratic trajectories are always struggles, because if you are dominated, you are exploited, you're oppressed, you must resist. It's very, 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 very important that we focus on the youth, women. We will have to rely on, to make the necessary changes.
If you look at the investment the government has put in terms of managing communications, PR, hiring Cambridge Analytica, it's a recognition of what they face and an awakening population that is not letting things just slide. So I'm concerned in terms of the character of our politicians and in terms of them inciting their constituencies, saying we are fighting. I don't know, people are talking about peace. Like, which Kenyans are fighting, In terms of Kenyans themselves, the people, the majority of the people, I'm encouraged by the fact that they are engaging in their politics. So we're not yet democratic, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be an institution that protects us and serves us, and if they're not able to effectively, then it means that I will not be able to get justice or anyone else. How can we make a society that's totally equal based on the Constitution, affirmative action, and building up on historical injustices and contexts?
Our history has been seriously doctored to celebrate the villains and to forget our heroes. In our political education, we are telling the true history. We're calling out the villains for who they are. Those we are told who are founding fathers, and the way they keep robbing this country till today. So through political education, we're giving the right history, and we're radicalizing the youth on the ground, telling them that it is time to take back their country.
I would say we are not in the red. We are not in the red.
Are we in yellow? Are we in green? Where are we?
We're in the green. Mm-hmm. We're in the green. We'll be able to deliver an election. I can assure you, without any fear of contradiction, that as far as the voting itself is concerned, it is a very, very transparent and straightforward exercise.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a beautiful morning. I request you turn to your neighbor. Mwambie nakupenda. Mwambie nakupenda. Angalia nimeona wale mafisi. All right, we are again on day 3, Democracy Week. Democracy Week, hashtag defending democracy. As always, I've been your host, MC001, MC Songora. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be fun today. As you see on stage, we have a live band today. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce Papi Yo! Wapi makofi kwa tafadhali? A round of applause, pigeni makofi jamani. From Monday, tulikuwa hapa freestyle. Lakini leo tuko na live band. Kwa hivyo leo itakuwa ni moto, fire. Just remind us that we are live on the official Facebook page, Forum Civ, and at the same time on the Forum Civ YouTube account. So keep on commenting. Those following us online, tunawaambia assalamu alaikum, tunawapenda sana. Ladies and gentlemen, I request that we all rise onto our feet. Tusimame tafadhali. We're going to start this day with energy. Tulisema another day 1 tukiwa step 1, tunapanda tukielekea kileleni. Sawa. It is day 3. We still have energy. Ama sio? Tafadhali, naomba tusimame. If you know God gave you 4 limbs, miwili ni ya kuchat na miwili ni ya kusimama. We're going to start with the national anthem, as always, because we're talking about democracy and we are patriotic Kenyans. We're reminding each other of being patriotic. And of course, by the way, I want to tell you, for those who are not following online, how Kenya is going. Mafuta imepanda. Tell your neighbor, mafuta imepanda tena. Mafuta imepanda noma. Kwa hiyo fare itapanda, chakula itapanda, jirani yako atapanda, papio pia watapanda bei. You know, that's how Kenya is. So as we are having this sort of conversation today, let us remind that these people do not care about our lives. Wanazidi kutufinyanga. Despite of COVID-19, mafuta imepanda. Almost shilingi 8 juu maze. Noma. My Mr. DJ, the national anthem, information is power, Article 35 of the Constitution. Mafuta imepanda. Nataka kasirika. DJ, the national anthem, and then we go to Afrika Mashariki, East Africa. Reminding us, #defending democracy. Your vote matters. All right, DJ. All right, thank you. So we have amazing performance today, live performances. I can see very good photographers from Part 254. I can see our media team here. Toka tuanze tuko now. LJ Production, one of the best in town. Thank you so much. Asante sana. Just to remind us again that this event is possible with very close collaboration led by Forum Civ as an organization, of course, in partnership with Creative Spills. We have Power 254. We have Siasa Place. And not forgetting, there's another one. Yes, there's another one. Namtafuta. Of course, under the great program, Wajibu Wetu. Thank you. Tusimame wima wa Kenya. Hata wale wanatufuata online, tafadhali simama wima. Imba na sisi wimbo wa taifa.
Mungu nguvu yetu.
Afrika Mashariki. A round of applause, pigeni.
Mungu twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuwajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you so much. Remain standing, please. Bado ni mapema jamani. You still have some tea in you. Tulieni kwanza. DJ, kile kibao chetu kile. Check one. DJ tafadhali. Ichi kinyokonyoko kizima, I will fire you. Mpigieni makofi DJ tafadhali. We go now. Yes. You need some energy. I want 2 dancers on stage. We want to see some energy.
Your man a bim bada bim bada bim bada bim bada bim bada 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 energy.
Wapi wile weba. Kuja tupe moves hapa. Tupe moves. Twende. Twende.
So na shukuru niko sawa, so mina vimbada.
Alright. DJ! Shikilia pale DJ. Thank you so much. Clap for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Because of time now, we need to go. Now introducing to you, ladies and gentlemen, we have a great band on stage here. Put your hands together for Papio! All right, ladies and gentlemen, just remind us that we are on the Democracy Week. Hashtag defending democracy. A round of applause kwa Papio. Makofi tafadhali hayatoshi. Makofi ya juzi na jana yasiwe kama ya leo. Leo yana nguvu zaidi. Thank you. Just remind us that we are live on the Forum Civ official Facebook page and also YouTube. For those brothers and sisters at home, you can just go online, copy the link, share with them so that they can have the feeling you're feeling here at the National Theatre. It's Democracy Week. Hashtag defending democracy. Defending democracy. Just for us to move forward now, I'd like to have two from the participants that were here from Monday. I see faces that were here from Monday. And I go Monday. All right, I can see. Clap for them. Please, mwenye microphone saidia pale kidogo, tukuwa na mazungumzo mbili tu, kidogo tu. Wala kutoka Monday hapa. Microphone pale nyuma. Yuko wapi yule? Patia microphone tu. Yes. Asante sana. Keep on tweeting, keep on following online. All right. Ifungule mikrofoni pale umpatie tuzidi kuzungumza masuala haya ya demokrasia. Or I want to get the feeling. Mkono pale nyuma pale nyuma. Nyuma kabisa pale. Mpigie makofi tafadhali, clap. All right. Thank you. Yes, please, I request you stand so that the guys on the live can get you. Asante. How are you? Good morning. Check the microphone. All right. DJ.
Saseni.
All right. What is your name?
Mabea.
Mabea from where? In Nairobi, Korogocho, Mombasa, wapi?
Easy, mimi natoka Kisii.
Kisii. Pigeni makofi. All the way from Kisii. All right, just one question. What has inspired you to join this amazing event?
Mi napenda space za youth na especially community engagement. That's something that is very close to my heart. So I chose to come all the way because I know the difference it makes, not just in Nairobi, but in the entire country. So big up to Forum Civ, 254, Siasa Place, and Creative Pills, all the organizers, big up.
Yes, a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, tupige makofi. Bado sijamalizana na wewe dada. Mpatie kipaza sauti. Yes, now maybe you are here from Monday. Yesterday you were here on Tuesday. Today is a Wednesday. What are the key points that you have picked from the conversation? Any two key points?
The first key point is, I love the fact that kuna youths wengi, so the presence of the youth here and online shows that there is hope in the change and the call for democracy. And the second thing is that I love the space, the way it's mature. Guys are able to engage, you know, whether someone agrees or disagrees with your point. Wase hapa wana shyness, people are very vocal, wataku call out to ukimake point yenye wana feel. It doesn't resonate with them. So I like that kind of aspect where you're able to have meaningful conversations, you know. It shows that we are growing as a country and we are maturing as a democracy.
All right, thank you. Mpigieni makofi tafadhali. Just wind up. Mpatia microphone jamani. Mko haraka kuchukua hiyo kinyokonyeo bwana. Mpatia microphone. Mregeshe. I just want you to pass a message because the people following online. As a young woman, what message can you give in line with democracy in this country? Waambie.
Okay, I want to encourage all the young women based on the fact that tumekuwa na madem and most of them ni young kwa panel. Tumekuwa na kina Shiko, kina Silatori, kina Nerima, all these are women like Muki, all these are women who are doing great things in our country. And you don't have to be in Nairobi. From wherever you are, you can make a difference. Many people make a difference. Shiko Nakuru is making a difference. So I just want to encourage all women wherever you are. You don't need to be in a big city. You don't need to have like massive resources. You can make a difference by just being an activist from wherever you are. Na kuwa activist imaanisha ati tukanana ama kupigana or violence. No, we are talking about a very mature conversation where you can call out injustices and social issues by bringing them to light. Tuko na social media, you need to fit sana, yenye unaweza make difference nayo. Tuko na communities engagements, you platform kali sana, unaweza make difference. So I just want to encourage them not to give up, but to keep fighting in the spirit of democracy, knowing that you are a nation na tuko pamoja.
All the way from Kisii. Pigeni makofi tafadhali. One gentleman. Nani anawashwa wanataka kuongea? One gentleman. Yes, here. Help me with this one. You know, we are talking about gender equality. We need to be practical. Sauti ya dada imesikika na sauti ya kijana kiume isikike. Ama vipi? Just remind us, we are on Democracy Week. #defending democracy. Defending democracy. Just gentleman over there. Yes. Please, master. Thank you. Please, quickly, just introduce yourself from where you come from and tell us what has inspired you to be part of this amazing conversation. Karibu.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. I love it when we are lively. I'm still Gutman. That's my name. I come from a place called Siaya County, beside Nairobi. So one thing that made me come to this conference was the name itself. Defending what? A government of you and myself that governs us in our days to this life. So we came to defend the same. That's why I've been here speaking to the seat from Monday. Yesterday we were here. Today we again starting the day. I'm proud of that. Thank you.
All right, a round of applause for him. One message again. One message to the young people.
Since we started on Monday, I've really seen a change in the youth. From one aspect, we are really vibrant. We really believe in what we believe in. We really are candid in our discussions. And if we carry this going forward, I believe without doubt, we will not be less important, but we will be of effect to the day-to-day political development or even economic development in this country. Apart from that, I love the fact that the youths are coming out, clenching the seats, the elective positions, the activist world, the corporate world, and our youths are becoming vibrant in every other aspect of life. So far as their age, what matters for them is concerned. Thank you.
Okay. Do you believe we will win the war against impunity in this country?
I would not say I believe or not believe, but if we carry the same things we've said from Monday, if we carry the same characteristic we've held from Monday, I do believe without doubt that we shall definitely win the war. And keeping in mind one thing, that there is a very big difference between having knowledge and having confidence in expressing stupidity. So once we go that direction, we shall move to where we have always been yearning to reach. Yes.
Thank you so much. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Asante sana. I'm so happy because people are following on the conversation from Monday and they can still remember what we were talking about. This demonstrates that surely we are not just here to rubber stamp, but we are here for a candid conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, just before we introduce our first panel, on stage, we want to bring fire. As always, this is a moment of art and creativity. Art and creativity. Art and creativity. There is a very important video we want to play. This video, of course, will be introducing a topic of discussion this morning, the first panel. We are talking about the impact of COVID-19 on democracy. The impact of COVID-19 on democracy. Coronavirus.
Corona kwangu. Uchumi umepiga sana.
Without income, families cannot be stable.
Kids drop out of school.
Right. As our engineers to make here, that we are live on forums, social media, Facebook and YouTube.
School because of early pregnancies.
Usikae kwa nyumba, ukikaa kwa nyumba ile shida itakuondoka.
There's COVID, there's curfew that starts at 7.
Nikasuku natumia uko joy.
Unatafuta kazi anakuambia utaniletea corona kwangu.
Kiuchumi imetupiga sana.
Without income, families cannot be stable.
Kids drop out of school because of early pregnancies.
Usikae kwa nyumba, ukikaa kwa nyumba ile shida itakuondokea.
We came out victorious a year later.
One, everybody should be vaccinated.
Madare, there's a lot of inequality. So when COVID came, we were told to stay at home, to wash our hands, but as you can see, Madare don't have water. Food was a big issue because we are living in aluminium apartments that is 10 by 10. And now here there's COVID, there's curfew that starts at 7. Hey, normally nikasuku tatumia ukojoe, hakuna kwenda nje.
As an artist, na restrictions za gathering imekuwa like we can't have shows. Kiuchumi imetupiga sana.
We witnessed so many kids drop out of school because of early pregnancies, because they couldn't access online education.
Sahi hata kuuza mboga labda uuze 50 bob, ukiuza pesa mingi, na niko na watoto, naye bwana kazi iliharibika. Sasa hii tu ndio tunategemea tukule.
Tangu corona ianze, kazi yangu imeharibika kabisa. Imeisha. So hata wale walikuwa wananipigia simu, mtu hanipigii simu. Na nikitoka niende kubisha milango ya watu niwafulie. Mtu akifungua mlango anaona ni umesimama kwa mlango natafuta kazi, anakuambia utaniletea corona kwangu.
Corona ilianza, unaona kama nilikuwa napika kilo 10 ya maragwe, ilirudi sasa napika kilo 2.
Ambapo hata hiyo kilo 2 haitaisha. Nimerudi back to zero.
Rep Nyando hapo karibu na Dhawabu. Ndio maana nasimama. There were increases in cases of gender-based violence because of lack of income, you know. Families zikakuwa problem to get income. Na without income, families cannot be stable.
Well, COVID-19 has affected our democracy as Kenyans. Kujakuwa na public participation, hence inafanya our leaders wanna make decisions on our behalf. Awatuletei matters, we make choices, ama we make decisions for ourselves.
Across Africa, we've witnessed how regimes are using the pandemic as a ruse to stay in power by, blocking social media, interfering with elections. So there is a concern that the same thing will happen in Kenya in 2022.
The online platforms that we are now using is a bit expensive, and most of us as creatives, we didn't exercise that space and know how to navigate it properly.
We had to shift our work from doing pure feminist work, human rights work, to also now focusing on humanitarian work. We had now to start distributing mass foods within the community. Being that we were able to give more than 11,000 household foods, it wasn't easy. Most of us were working 16 hours a day to ensure like community, not only in Madare, were having food.
Our comrades here at Wahenga, they kept public education alive through art, through public murals, through spoken word.
There were many lessons. Government didn't care about us. I felt that our rights were never respected.
In spite and despite of everything that happened at the height of the pandemic, I'd say we came out victorious a year later.
The youth also, they have been able to embrace technology to a higher level than before. Like me, myself, I was never been on an online meeting before, but now I'm used to Zoom meetings.
The system needs to be prepared. The policies need to be there that if this happens, how do we move around?
Mimi ningeomba serikali kama wangebuni mbinu mbadala kama jinsi ya kupeana loans kwa watu wasiojiweza ama watu wa chini, tupate vile tunaweza kufungua kazi zetu wenyewe.
I think the government should give out stimulus packages kwa wasanii wote na pay information ifikie kila msanii.
Lazima utajiunga na wenzako, na unajua hali ya binadamu, ile shida haitakuondokea ukikaa kwa nyumba. Lazima utoke.
So we have as many youths and leadership that are in the community to meet, to talk about their challenges, and also to offer platforms that give them links. When you talk about your rights, you know where to go to, how to go, and also how to react.
The telecommunications companies should lower the data rates.
And for our recovery again, we have to go for the vaccinations. Because without vaccination, the economy cannot open up.
And it's up to the youth to stand up for themselves, to keep the government on toes, and to keep the conversation going on various platforms.
So just up now because we're supposed to have our first panel. This morning, and also at the next level. I know there's some fire within us. Need more power to erupt. Revolution is the only way for Kenya. Mafuta imepanda. When your neighbor imepanda bana. Tena wameongeza shilingi 8. Noma. My friend, kama ulikuwa umekuja hapo ukidrive, unakuwa umejipanga. Itabidi gari utaweka tu kwa petrol station, utafute bus urudi. Next time uende utop up ukujie gari. Maana imekuwa abrupt. Hii ni noma. Ndudi itapanda. Hey. Sasa ni unga imepanda zaidi. Na sasa mafuta imepanda, unga itapanda zaidi. That's why you need to have this conversation. Conversation. Defending democracy. How to bring change. It starts with your as experience. Allegiance, sustainable, the field of activism, pushing for social accountability, pushing for social change, calling the leaders with impunity, telling the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together as we introduce Mufasa! All right. Keep on tweeting. Hashtag defending democracy. Keep on tweeting. Hashtag defending democracy. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Creative Pills. Thank you, Gas Place. The amazing program, what you do. On stage, gentlemen, Mufasa, take it away.
There's COVID, there's
Sinoma Fanaga Hario Sinoma Fanaga Hario Sinoma Fanaga Sinoma Fanaga Hario Sumasiro Sumakasiro Sumaka Suma
Come on down. Yeah. Come on. Don't shoot me. I'm just protesting about things you should be protecting. So don't shoot me. All I have is a t-shirt, jeans, shoes with loose laces. So don't shoot me. A placard is not a weapon. You're the one weaponized to shoot me. But don't shoot me. My mother is waiting for me to come back home. So please, don't shoot me. I mean, the God in you can only take life, and I might need my life back. So don't shoot me. Hashtags won't bring me back to life. So don't shoot me. I'm not high. It's the electricity bill that's too high. But don't shoot me. My brother needs a job, and my other brother needs to start thinking about a job. But don't shoot me. For working after curfew, to be poor is a crime at the prison type. Don't shoot me. I'm just saying, if the rich get bail and the poor cannot afford bail, then maybe our prisons are not full of criminals, they're just full of poor people. But don't shoot me. Our stadiums are a joke, except they're nothing to play with. But don't shoot me. We celebrate the type of talents that win out there and forget to mourn the millions of talents we kill here. But don't shoot me. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Hate kills people. Division kills people. People in positions of leadership who don't take a shot at leading kill people. Hospitals without oxygen kill people. Fact doctors like to run and hospitals kill people. Ambulances that need to send cash fast before they're an emergency service kill people. Depression kills people. To render people jobless without financial cushion is to kill people. People with nothing to eat can kill people. Having nothing to eat kills people. To lack rent for months is stressful, and stress has killed people. People with everything keep taking from people who have nothing. That's how you kill people. People with nothing to give need churches, mosques, and temples to give their voices because silence has killed people.
Sumakasiro, sumakasiro, sumakasiro.
If only I could stop writing poems and use my pen to color the clouds of citizen dissatisfaction to darkness, maybe it would rain a revolution. Maybe light can only come after darkness. Maybe only mind revolutions can birth such revolutions. A poet since birth means nothing if police brutality is immortal. Sometimes when I write and I aim right, I leave pages smelling like gunpowder. They say that's how you kill a poem, except my boys are dying for real. No imagery, no dramatic effect. That's the drama that affects our nation. Dawn on the sax! Give it up for Dawn on the sax. Baluka on the bass! Christian on the drums. Paul on the keys. Mr. Papillon.
Mufasa.
Thank you very much.
Whoa, 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 Mufasa! A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause.
Thank you.
Makofi na fadhali, makofi. Thank you. Tell your neighbor it is fire. Well, tell your neighbor, not me. Tell your neighbor it is fire. It is fire. Please make sure your neighbor is not that close to you. There is COVID and COVID is real. I'm alone here. In social distance, but still I have a mask. Ask yourself why. Because I love myself. Nimeona askari wameingia hapa, jamaa walikuwa wamepanic kweli wakavaa mask mbio. So if you know you are putting on a mask because you fear the police, then know wewe ni mfungwa na ni mtumwa. Know your rights. Put on a mask because you're protecting yourself. It's a health issue. So please, for those who are sitting closer to each other, ensure you have some space. And space is very simple. Make sure there's a seat empty in between you and your neighbor. Yes, please. Please. And make sure you are covered with a mask. Both nose and mouth, completely. You can breathe. I can see my friends there. Tumekaa. Tupendana ndiyo. Hata kama huyo ni sweet honey umekuja naye. Mapenzi saa nyingine huwa ndio chanzo cha binadamu kujiingiza katika balaa. Yes, we request that you ensure there's a gap between you. Kuna space, we have space here. And you know we are live. Tuko kwa TV live. So if you sit closer here, and there are gifts today, there are gifts. Mufasa is giving gifts. So if you are far there, my friend, hutaangukiwa. Aliyembali angukiwi na mti. So I request those at the back there, please come occupy this space here so that you can be counted. It is democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, our hashtag is defending democracy. We are celebrating, we are marking Democracy Week. And of course, on stage was Mufasa. And everyone believes and now understand why we call him Fire on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going straight to our first panel this morning. talking about the impact of COVID-19 on democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, as they're setting up the stage, I would like to visit the online platform and read some few comments from faithful Kenyans who are participating online. And if you're here, you want to participate here, you are free. You can join the online discussion. Amazing Kenyans are doing wonderful work. So usiachwe nyuma. Don't say sikukwambia. We are online and we are live. Forum Civ official Facebook page. I can see people participating in full. All right. So now I want to do a bit of reading on the comments online. We have Vijay Konde saying, Mufasa, your spoken words ni hatari sana. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Duncan David Onyango Oduoro from Kisumu, Progressive Youth, is saying uniting youth in the fight against COVID-19. Thank you, Duncan David Oduoro. Kasongo Side saying, following live from Manika Community Hub, Mombasa. Thank you, Defending Democracy. We have Ebenua Faisal Okech also following and watching. We have Victor Ihuru following from Mombasa, Defending Democracy. So we have people online that are participating. Ladies and gentlemen, you can join the conversation online and we continue to kuendelea. So just about now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome on stage our first panel so that tunaweza proceed na kuendelea na mipango. So the panel that will be discussing on the impact of COVID-19 on Kenyans and democracy. Ladies and gentlemen, the moderator for this amazing panel is none other than Madam Sylvia Matasi. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Pigieni makofi as is coming on stage. Madam Sylvia Matasi. Keep on clapping, keep on clapping, keep on clapping, keep on clapping. Yeah, thank you. Energy, democracy, revolution can only come without energy, ladies and gentlemen. Sylvia Matasi. She's going to introduce to us her panelists this morning. And ladies and gentlemen, I tell you that this is a very great panel, so sit down, relax, toa earphone kwa masikio, listen. Those watching us live, pia, fuatilizia ino panel. The impact of COVID-19 on work around democracy. Sylvia, please, take it away. The floor is yours. Kinyokonyo. All right, check one.
Check. Okay. Thank you. As you've heard, my name is Sylvia. I am an advocate of the High Court. I am happy to be here. I am glad to be here, humbled as well. I'll dive right into it. Let me introduce my panel. My first panelist is Hussein Khalid. Hussein is the Executive Director of Haki Africa. He is not a new face to us. We've known him and what he has done in advancing democracy in this nation. Karibu sana, Khalid. You can sit anywhere. My next panelist needs no introduction at all. He has been on the forefront fighting for democracy in this country. He has been called names, but he keeps on fighting. Please put your hands together and welcome Boniface Mwangi. We can clap for him until he gets here. Karibu sana Boniface. You can sit anywhere. Yes. My third panelist, he has just done a tremendous performance before us today. He's one of the top poets in this country, and his poetry, we can see, also advances democracy. My third panelist is none other than Mufasa. I don't know. You have changed. Karibu sana Mufasa. That is my full panel for today. And as we've heard, our discussion today is the impact of COVID-19 on democracy. And Khalid, I will start with you. One of the core mandates of every government is to ensure that the human rights of every citizen, whether Kenyan or non-Kenyan, is protected regardless of their race, their origin, their status in the country. So far, during this COVID-19, since I think it was announced, was it March of 2020, what do you feel? Do you feel if the government has actually protected the rights of Kenyans? Or what is your comment on that?
Thank you very much, and let me say how much of an honor it is to be here, this Forum Civ's Democracy Week, and of course to share a panel with great men who have done quite a lot for this country, and of course yourself, Zaina. So yes, the Constitution of Kenya is very clear, and Chapter 4 of the Bill of Rights speaks to the fundamental freedoms and guarantees that every Kenyan is entitled to. And within that Bill of Rights is Article 43, which basically speaks about the socioeconomic rights that every Kenyan is supposed to enjoy as a citizen of this country. What COVID-19 has done basically is to show how far back we are in terms of guaranteeing those rights. The Constitution says that everyone has a right, first of all, to primary health care, that is to be able to get medication. And even before medication, it speaks about the right to emergency treatment, that no one will be turned away when they need urgent medical attention. But you'll find that in the COVID situation, we have so many people who are sick, people who need urgent attention, but they're dying in homes. Even the basic right that we have, the social security, the right to NHIF and healthcare, at some point the government announced that that will also not cater for your medical bills. So this shows clearly that yes, despite the fact that the Constitution guarantees us basic, fundamental, primary rights, during this COVID pandemic, we were not able to realize those rights, and Kenyans were not able to get those rights. So to answer your question, yes, the Constitution does bestow those rights to us, but in the actual sense, we have not been getting those rights that have been guaranteed by the Constitution.
What if the government argues and says they have done what they can to actually provide, if it's healthcare, education, we have a cramped up calendar as it is for school. And if I could be the devil's advocate and say, the government has done quite some bit in ensuring that they have done their best in terms of everything in regards to protecting the rights of Kenyans. Will I be pushing it?
Well, again, we go back to the Constitution, and Article 21 is very clear that the government has the duty to prove that it's actually done enough. So when we are talking about whether the government has been able to confer those rights upon its citizens, the Constitution tells us that these fundamental rights are justiciable, which means we can actually go to court and demand that the government delivers on those responsibilities. And in the event the government cannot, then the onus is on the government to prove that it has actually taken steps to at least make efforts to, realize those rights. And in the event that it can prove that it cannot, at that point in time, it must also prove to the courts measures it has put in place to progressively realize those rights and to give like a time plan on how or when those rights will be realized. So the Constitution is very clear. The law is in black and white that it is the responsibility of the government to make sure that those rights are delivered.
But first, do you want to weigh in on this? Okay. Sorry. Very well. Boniface, I want to shift a bit and talk about those before COVID. The right to protest was we took a physical, literally going to the streets and protesting. I have a feeling that right now after COVID we have moved more to social media and airing our grievances for us to be heard. What is your feel about it? Are our voices being heard, or do we still need to go back to the streets?
So the streets will always be there forever, and the streets is you're going to get justice. One of the things that streets does to a country is show what's really going on the ground. So if there's a protest about bad roads in, let's say, Embu, or in Mombasa, and it's covered in the news, it's national news that there's a problem there. And that means that the people who make policy or allocate budget are able to notice that. Something about a street protest that will never happen, that can't happen in an online space, is that a street protest brings a lot of inconvenience. And when you have inconveniences, people talk. And when people talk, the issues rises to the top. But COVID has not really affected protest in this country. I think active citizenship and civil society has failed to organize in that space. And I'll give two examples. Kenjokoma Brothers was a very big issue that would have rallied people about extrajudicial killings and police brutality. That did not happen. The killing of the 4 young men in Kitengela was another rallying point for guys to march to the IG's office to demand his resignation. That did not happen. We cannot sit here and say that COVID has made us not protest. The truth is, we haven't been protesting. COVID has just given us an excuse to say there's a COVID protocol and COVID rules that are making us not protest. What's the name of the guy? I want to say Trayvon Martin, the guy who was killed after Trayvon last year. The guy who, what's his name? Knee on the neck.
George Floyd?
George Floyd. So George Floyd's protest happened during COVID. Last year was like the peak of COVID in the US. Thousands were dying every day, but thousands marched for justice. So human rights and active citizenship is not something you can say that we can't do it now because there is COVID, because justice can't wait. You know, us getting vaccines can't wait. Because we're just getting murdered every day, we can't wait until COVID is over for us to speak. We have to speak now. And you have to understand that the government has been allowing the politicians to gather. So that means you're also justified to actually gather. There's not a single judge in this country who's going to jail someone for taking part in a peaceful protest because there's COVID. No jail, no judge want to have that in their like case listings and case history. Because they saw what happened to Philip Murgo. Murgo was a prosecutor, and he was put into task for what he did in the early 90s. So right now in 2021, no judge will send Hussein, Khalid, or me, or Mufasa to jail for taking part in a protest. The only thing that is actually holding us back is fear. Because I was in the active citizenship space for about 11 years. I can't tell you of a single case where anyone was jailed because they took part in a protest. The story about being jailed for taking part in a protest is a fable tale from it used to happen in the 80s and 90s and before the new constitution. Since 2010, no judge or magistrate has jailed anyone for taking part in a peaceful protest. They take you to court, it's very inconveniencing, but at the end you get acquitted because that 7 protects you. So the police arrest you just as a nuisance and to kill the spirit, but you can't be jailed. So the question is, why are we not protesting?
What if we argue the restrictions, the social distancing, and everyone doesn't want to go outside and protest? Plus, as you answer that one, is our voice still being felt on social media when we advance our interest, or we want the government to comply with a certain directive, or yeah?
Okay, so most of the guys who are here come from the Eastlands. We come in matatus that are very full. We live in communities with there's social distance. You only wear a mask when you see police, not because of COVID. I think the other things that are killing us more than COVID. So COVID is not the biggest killer in this country. Corruption, road accidents, preventable diseases, maternal health. There's so many other killers in this country. So we can't use COVID as an excuse, just an excuse. Is our voice being heard on social media? It's been heard, but not loud enough. I remember we did with a protest to get, before Boynet was like a call, it was Boynet or Kemayo to be fired. And Kemayo was fired 2 days later. We went to Harambe Avenue, we closed Harambe Avenue, protested, brought coffins. 2 days later, they got a job. So I'm wondering, why haven't people said Mutiambai should go? Because Mutiambai is one of the most useless IGs we've ever had in this country. And when you take a protest to the streets, thank you. When you protest in the streets and you're there and you convenience everyone, he loses the political clout that he has. And his defenders and people who, his enemies, gather up and call them and say, can't you see Kenyans are speaking? The MP say, can't you see? The governor say, can't you see? The man gets replaced and we'll go and get someone saying. So the question is, why are people not protesting? And I think the question that will follow that I want to answer preempt is that, why am I not protesting? And I've been in the streets for a long time. As I seen a urologist in my 20s, I've been beaten. God showed the tear gas canister. I've had so much trauma in me that I have so much anger, police trigger me, that I feel if I do this again, I'm going to get killed. Because I have so much rage within me. And I also feel like I've learned a couple of things in my time in the streets that I can teach other people how to do it. Because I'm 38. I'm getting older. But what can be to do is mentor other people. When generals go to war, like if you go in Afghanistan, you can go for tours. They don't send you for more tours. Because you have survived that long enough. They say your knowledge of the battlefield is important, the classroom, so that you can teach many other people. Because when I go to a street protest, I'm going to be one guy in Nairobi. But if I go to a classroom with many activists from across the country, and they learn how we do it, they go back, and you have many people on the ground. So what we need to do now is take these young people through a political education on how to organize, how to protest, and we tell them, and we back them up. The same thing we did for this young man. We don't need to arrest this guy. And we're here, and we stop the police. Experience. It is experience that actually gave us the reason to. And so these guys need to learn how to do these things.
So what are you doing? Who are you? Because you have been the face of, I would say, democracy in this country. And you saying you are hanging your boots, of course we want to hear, are you mentoring people? Are they coming up? Because I think for the past 1 year, couple of months, I think we have been dead, like you've said. So what are you doing to take up, for people to take up what you've done for us?
I've become an Instagram influencer. I'm always on Instagram sharing my family and my kids. Let me say this. I'm available to teach and I'm available to do these things. My concern has been actually is that the indigenization of civil society has led to many people joining civil society just because it's a career. There's no passion, there's no commitment. You have an organization that organizes a protest, only one person goes, but they fund guys from Madare and Kibera to go. And so things have been done very wrong. When we talk about the rot in this country, the rot is beyond politicians and all that, because civil society is also rotten. And so there need to be an introspection about where are we going wrong and how are we doing things wrong. Are we doing Democracy Week so that, because it's something we do every year, can it be done differently? Because there's so much anger in this country. What I fail to understand, why are people not organizing? Because Hussein, our protests will be 200, 300 people, but they're very effective. You don't need thousands in the streets. They don't need thousands, man. But it actually breaks my heart, because I actually tried, so let me say, and I need to shut up. The 4 boys were killed in Kitengela. I rode to Kitengela that Sunday with my wife. I met the families and I said, I can help you organize to go to the IG's office. And these are the things that you need to do. But they're not willing. I rode all the way. I don't ride, but I took a motorbike because I stopped riding. I went all the way and said, I'm willing to help you because I felt it, because my kids have dreadlocks. I said, this could have been my son in a couple of years. But there's that fear, and we need to overcome that fear. That fear cannot be overcome if civil society guys who do these things are organizing every other week in a small way. So let's organize. What are we waiting for? And I'm
to teach people. Yeah, let's not let what he has done and advanced in this country just die. Let's pick up from where he has left. Okay. I will switch to you, Mufasa. In the creative industry, during this COVID period, I think you're one of the most hit badly by this situation. And I know most of the creatives get their bread and butter from the performances that you do. I would like to hear from you. How has this impacted on your industry?
I think Kwanzaa, for conscious artists, basically people who write about rights, nanini, social issues, their content is not played on radio, TV, or at least it's not supported that way. And the lack of framework for these people basically to earn from it, already naweka mahali pabaya, even before COVID. As an artist who writes about social issues, nanini, unakuanga disadvantaged already compared to other conventional artists. And now COVID coming in, of course, there's no performing, there's nothing like that. There's another way to look at it. Positively, I would say, artists wanakuwa challenged, inabidi you find a way you learn that you cannot only live as a stage artist. You have to change your ways in terms of reaching out to people. Lazima uangalie, okay, kama hakuna performances, how else can I create my work? How else can I reach out to people? Will we have to come up with books? Will we have to come up with articles? Will we have to come up with stuff on social media of how to reach out to people? So kuna hiyo adjustment, but then again, sasa kuna hii part ya mental health. Because watu wanaumia na mental health, yo. Hii period. I love the thing about mental health as well, it affects even your writing, because there's no opportunities, hakuna event, hakuna nini, hakuna mahali pa kukula. How do you start thinking about rights when you don't have something to eat? And even when you think about it, it can affect even the hospitals thing, because comes hauna opportunities, you don't have money, you can't pay for your unagopa kwa mgonjwa. And when you think about it, hata quality of healthcare inakuwa affected, because how do you even start thinking about quality of healthcare in period of COVID, and yet OC zimejaa. Kwanza before quality, hakuna space OC. Yeah. So I think for us, for many artists, I would say mental health imekuwa a big issue. But the positiveness of it all is as well quite just kuangalia how else can we reach out to people when we are not on stage.
Thank you. We can have a roving mic. We can get questions from the floor. Any questions from the floor? There's a hand up. Yes, yes, you can as we get a mic.
As we get the questions from plenary, just to, in a way, put together what Boni and Mufasa has said, and also maybe tying it with the law, ni kwamba katika history ya binadamu, in the history of mankind, anywhere in the world, there is no place where freedom or independence or justice, any of these things was won in boardrooms or in courtrooms. Anywhere, everywhere, people wanted to stand up and defend their rights. That was done through the streets. Our forefathers, the Mau Mau, had to take to the forest. They had to go out there and to, stand up for what they believed in. So for us who are here, and maybe we are saying we are comfortable, ama tunaogopa, tukienda sijui tutashikwa, sijui itakuwa vipi, then truly bado hatujataka kupata ile freedom that we really need. If you really want, and if we as a people, as a country, want to move to the next level, then we should be ready to sacrifice. We should be ready to sacrifice our lives. We should be ready to sacrifice our limbs, because it pains me. For example, last weekend we were in Garissa, you know, with these bodies, 11 bodies that were found. And when the morgue attendant opened the freezers, you could see the bodies that were there, zimefungwa mikono, you know, watu wako na maalama, some were even missing limbs. Yet tunasema tunaishi in a country that, you know, have security, tunasema we are okay, we are fine, yet people are being drowned, wanafungwa na mawe and thrown into the water. What kind of a country are we living in? But tunakaa huku Nairobi, Mombasa, and other places comfortable because whatever is happening in other parts of the country bado hazijatufikia sisi. So it's important for us to understand that an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. So we need to stand up and we need to say enough is enough and demand that our rights be protected, be guaranteed. Thank you.
Thank you, Khalid. There was a question from the floor. Can we get a roving mic?
The mic is coming.
Check one.
I had a question for Mufasa. Since you're on the panel representing the artists, so where do we bridge the gap between conscious artists? And for you to have a conscious artist, that means that there is that the other side of the artists section is not conscious. How do we bridge that gap? Because it seems like for you to be a conscious artist, lazima ukwe una push for this civil rights and not necessarily social economic rights, because there are artists who are not considered conscious but wanna push for easy rights zingine, social economic rights. So I feel like whenever we talk about conscious artists, we isolate ourselves and make it seem like our wengine kuna kitu wenye hawafanyi ama they're not fighting for people's rights, when it would be really useful to actually extend that hand na muwak now, our artists. So what are you doing to expand the space, your conscious artists? Ama does that space remain limited to just people who are doing civil rights peke yake?
We can take the questions and then you can answer.
Here you are.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, thank you so much. My name is Okanda Eugene. I run a youth-based leadership organization called Unlock, where we do leadership training and career and mentorship workshops. If you've been keen enough, as a country, you realize we have our priorities have really not been clear. I think we have minored on the major and major on the minor as a country. And you find, especially during this COVID-19 season, like our government has not really been prioritizing on the important issues. I think my question will go to Boniface, who have really been doing an incredible work. Given an opportunity to advise the government on socio-economic transformation of this country, what will be your key areas of priorities as your message can go to the government concerning the youth? Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ben Lucas, always known as MCRESI, from Oval Digitech. My question goes directly to Mr. Boni. Mr. Boni, the Part 254, I knew it back in 2017. I also participated in one or two of your events. But Mr. Boni, I want to ask you, where's the position of a youth in these independent organizations? Because back in Eastlands, by then I was staying in Westlands, but when I came to Eastlands, Part 4 went dead. Now, where's the positions of the youth, innovative youth, by the way, in the fight against COVID-19? Because we've come out with Oval Digitech, where we deal with social media account management, and I think MC will introduce me, and I'll introduce several things later. So where's the position of a youth, innovative youth, in this fight against COVID-19 in relation to Power 254? Thank you.
Mimi naitwa Sijenyi. Also, my question also goes to Boni. So, yeah, utatulia tu, sir. So I realized that you always share stories of other people on social media. And the last time I realized that some dreams are never valid is that I dreamt that you are dead during the Dick Road, and I tagged you on a post. Dead, like you are dead. So, so I tagged you on a post. So most of the time when I see you've posted, I try to find, if I have something burning back at my home, I like come to tag you if you can see the story and make it public. But I realized the only stories you make public ni kama za huyu jamaa wa bibi wa Mtua. I see that hiyo unachukua haraka sana. So we get worried. Yeah. So you need to tell us, when do you take a story serious? Mtu akikujia maybe inbox ama public amekutag. So that is one. So the last one is I have a challenge with some wazes at home. They are over 80, but they still want to be in position. But we at 38, you want to give us the space so that we can be the activist in the space you are. What is this that have made you now to get out? Ama ni kelele watu wanasema uko na pesa mingi. So you can just answer that. Thank you.
Before the mic goes around, so that I don't forget.
So the first question was about socioeconomic. What can I do? What can I advise the government? So the biggest problem in this country is unemployment. We have high level of unemployment. And the higher level of unemployment means that there is high level of crime, high level of poverty, high level of mental wellness. So what would I advise the government to do? If our government dealt with corruption, unemployment would actually reduce, because a country that has less corruption and has strong institutions has credibility with investors. People don't invest in this country because they're afraid that if I invest and then I get conned, the judge is corrupt, the police is corrupt, everyone is corrupt. That is number one. Number two, in times of recession, like COVID is a time of recession, the government should spend money on social amenities. So you're doing infrastructure, not the expressway, that doesn't matter. You build schools, you build hospitals, you build roads, you connect the country, you ensure people have water, sanitation, such things. So when a country is broke, the government should spend more on infrastructure, because that creates jobs for young people. But the problem we have with our country, they create job for you guys to go and slash grass and then remove trash from the mutaros, the drainage, then after another rain it goes back. That is not sustainable. But if you create sustainable models, where, for example, in a community, you create playgrounds, you create parks, you create industrial complex for people to be able to come and invest. So you decentralize, which was the idea of devolution. You decentralize the government, that a young man can work in their village and live in a house where they don't pay rent and walk to work. And that place where they work, there's electricity, there's water, which means no one can invest any parts of this country. But the truth is, there are places in this country you can't invest because there's no reliable infrastructure, there's no power, there's no water, there's no security. So what should I advise the government to do? Deal with corruption. Because when you deal with corruption, you have people coming to invest. Number two, we need to have a skills audit in this country. I remember a couple of years ago, Talo Oil wanted to employ welders, but they couldn't get qualified, certified welders in this country. That get them from Nigeria, because yule jamaa kuchomelea alifundishwa na brother yake akafundishwa hivyo, so yakishika tu ni kuchomelea tu. There's no skill, there's no, and that actually applies to carpenters. Most carpenters in this country will do for you a bed that is in balance. Unadhani wewe ni game yako iko normal, lakini kumbe ni kitanda ndio mbaya. So walivunja kitanda ilijengwa vibaya. So you need to actually employ computers to do measurements. The second question was about, before I come to Giuliani's question, was about power, the space of power in this COVID-19 fight. And so Power last year had a relief program for artists, where they're providing food and all that, and they've produced 3 albums, one in Kariobangi, another one in Kayole, another one in Mukuru. So Power hasn't really died. I think COVID has affected how Power works, but Power still exists. And I'm so sure Power is going to come back and stronger. There's a couple of internal issues. There's how donors want things done, and then there's how things actually happen on the ground, and that has actually created a bit of friction. Because, and I'll say this because this is one of the funders of Power, and I'll say Power used to hire for passion and vision and belief and people who were selfless. Nowadays, Power hires through a management company, someone sends a CV. So a qualified young man who could have worked at Power, who comes from Madare or Mukuru, wherever, can't work at Power because they don't have the papers to do that. And I think that is very, very unfair. When that comes to Keter, who's smart but can't march in the streets. And I think that should be thought through. Because the days we used to be at Power, every single person could take part in a street protest. Everyone. And everyone could organize. And there was nothing like 5. Now, the people that sometimes single out Power, but Keter, Haki Africa must have part of those people, Human Rights Commission, all these organizations, even you guys where you work. Most of you are employed because you came with the papers and it wasn't about human rights. It wasn't really about, it was just a job. And that's why it's very easy for someone to leave that space and progress and go to work for government, the same government that is violating the people that you're working with every day. Doesn't make sense to me. So I think there's a need to think how we hire people. Papers are not enough to hire anyone. And I'm saying this as someone who never went to high school. Mainly work to class 8 hapa tu niko tu hapa najichocha. The thing about Giuliani and Giuliani is my boy, like he's one of my best friends, and I think I'm happy for him. He's in love, they're in love. Na alicheza game mwingine poa sana, ali represent Msewa Ghetto, ama ni aje Jose, si ndio? Demo aliacha hoteli akaenda kwa Msewa Ghetto. Si kitu poa sana. Ukweli ama uongo? Which means actually love matters. That love still, true love still exists actually, right? So the reason why I posted about Giuliani, because he was being threatened, and I said it was important that I stand in solidarity with him. And I'll say this, in 2017, my life was in danger. I had a case with the deputy president in court, and I was told I was going to get killed. And we left the country, went to the US. I came back, and I wanted to go report the matter to the police. The day I went to report that matter to the police, there were only 2 people who came with me to the police station. It was Willie Mutunga and Giuliani, no one else. So I have eternal debt to Giuliani and Willie Mutunga. And that's why they're very close friends to me. Civil society, hata hakuna statement, hakuna walikaa huko mbali, hao tunao civil society. Waliko tuko wanatumia tuma inshallah na emojis. Unajua tuko pamoja wapi? That is one. 2, I think on August 8th this year or 10th of last month, I took a break because I was getting, my inbox is full, but I try, even right now, there's someone who went to my Facebook posts, akaangalia my messages, akatumia mtu mwenye anasaidia kuwasaidia, because I was waking up to this job every day, no one pays me. Kama ni mimi mdosi, maybe because I work hard in other things. No one pays me to do those things, no one pays me to post, no one to do. So I was doing all these things, and there's no paying work for me. And I realized my family was suffering. So I said, I have other skills that I can use to support my family without being on the forefront. And I'll finish with this. Last night, I was at a police station to bail out someone. And when I was there, the police officer who was dealing with was very upset with me, alikuwa nakunichapa, because this officer was almost fired because of a story I posted. And he said, ulipost story ya Kayole, kuna story ya Molem, ulipost story hapa Kilimani, wewe upostu mambo ya polisi ni nini. And I'm trying to say, bro, mi hata si mimi share vitu za watu. I have carried the burden of this country, not the entire country, but of some people for a long time. And I think it's time for me to take a break for others to carry that burden. Because it is wrong of you to expect so much from me while I have nothing else to give and I'm empty. And the place I was going in my life, the reason I had to quit even the political party and say I was not going to Vice, because I was becoming a very angry, bitter person, and that was even affecting my kids. Because I was waking up angry, because I wake up to your problems every day. So I made a choice. I will not post about people's problems. I'll not comment about this country. I'll not talk about politics. I'll talk about happy things. Just to detoxify my mind. This guy's spoken about mental wellness. How many of us have thought about suicide in this country? How many of you in this room today have thought about suicide? Raise your hand if you've ever thought about suicide. One hand at the back, two. No, no one is going to judge. How many of you? Me, I've raised my hand. I've thought about suicide. How many of you? Yeah, like there's like 30% of the people in this room have thought about suicide. And because there's a burden in our heart, it hurts every day. So it's good for me to be able to come back and continue to get to detoxify, because I'm very toxic. Because the things that I see and I read every day stay with me. So the question is, who heals the healer? Who do I go to? I don't have anyone to go to, right? So mimi ni mgonjwa na sina daktari. So nimejitoa space, nipone ndo nirudi. Do the more I stay here, bro, mtanizika na hakuna haja. Mtanizika.
My name is Anne Momboa. You can call me Mombo Poet. I have a question to Mwangi and I don't know his name.
Khalid.
Yeah. So when you talk about protestation, it's not that we don't want to protest, but what rights protect us as the protesters? Because nowadays, no matter how peaceful you make the protestation, the police will always be there to interrupt. And after every protestation, you get that there are a few people who have been killed. Like, what can we do to get away from this fear of, oh, if I go to the protestation, I won't be killed, I will be safe? What safety do we have as youths to go to the streets? Yeah.
As that mic moves, Khalid, as you also talk about how the civil society has failed us in terms of the protests she's talking about. Yeah, then there's a question for you. You can start and then he can.
Okay, so the question was about, like you said, segregation, conscious artists, nani. Okay, for me, we believe artists need artists. These are go two boxes. Basically, we all write about human situations. Inaweza kwa love, inaweza kwa ni hate, inaweza kwa nini, inaweza kwa social issue, but we all write about human situations. And story of boxing, spendi, hata hiyo artists at times, because hizo box inafanya ni kama tuko different. Mpaka inafanya ni kama when you talk about, when you want people to live better, unakaa nikawa ni activist, you're fighting. It's just a human thing. Like, I think we all should have that in our hearts. Like, basically, ukienda kwa protest, unafightia rights. Msame madwa, vibaya. I don't think hata unataka ku act. You're not trying to be anything. You're just, it's natural. It should come naturally. Because in the end, kama si wewe, inaweza kwa bro yako, inaweza kwa sisi yako, inaweza kwa mtoi wako. Lazima to protect the situation. Injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And then in terms of collaborations that could expand, we're not per se limited. Like, you're only personal. How you collaborate with other singers, that's what we are doing. We are doing that. Not in a whole period ya COVID, in events vile, I hope artists wata collaborate more. Na in the near future, tapata works better, nazitaenda everywhere, nazitaenda mali pengi. But then again, this is why the letter distinction. When artists talk about social issues, especially governance, sometimes paycheck yako affectiwa. Na wasa wanapenda kuchunga paycheck. That's why big artists lazima uchunge paycheck yako. Utapata major artists wanachunganga paycheck yao. Personally, nimekuwa na events I think 4 zimekanseliwa, especially za gava zenye president alikuwa na come. One of them, in fact, nilipigwa simu nikaulizwa kana job Boni. Wakasema, have you worked with Boni? Nikanyimwa job. So actually ni twice. Moja ilikuwa Ministry Education. So ina happen for us that happens, but wale wase wengine wenye wanaongea about love, about nini, it doesn't mean they can't talk about social issues. It's how they choose. Hakuna kubox mse wote. A secular artist can sing about God. Hakuna kubox mse. Artist ni artist. We all write about human situations. All right.
Okay. Thank you. Sasa unaweza sema unajua Boni.
I want to respond to your question kwa njia mbili. Kwanza kuna njia ya sheria. What protects you? Katiba iko very clear. Article 37 inasema every person has the right to peaceably and unarmed to demonstrate, to protest, to picket, and to present petitions to public offices. So katiba iko wazi kabisa, inakulinda na uko na haki ya kwenda huko kuprotest over issues that you feel are dear to you. Ya pili kitu inakulinda ni what ile kwa sheria tunaita precedents, and I think Bonia ameongelea. Hakuna mtu amefikishwa mahakamani in the last 10-20 years akakuwa found guilty for protesting about their rights. I think majority of us here tushaishi kwa sijui mara ngapi. MPs is still in court. Mnakumbuka MPs ile nguruwe zilipelekwa parliament. That matter is still in court up to this moment. Tumeshtakiwa na bado hiyo kesi inaendelea. But the law protects you. But more importantly, the second part of that answer, the other way, nataka kukuambia ni wewe mwenyewe utajilinda. Utajilinda kwa kuamini that what you are doing is the right thing for you to do. Hakuna protection more important than that. That you believe in yourself. Na unajua that whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm standing for, ni kitu ambayo naamini. Na lazima niifanye, lazima nijitetee, lazima nihakikishe hii haki imepatikana. Ikiwa wewe utatoka huko mbele na ujiamini useme yes, I am doing this for the sake of my country, then there is nothing else that will stop you from achieving what you want to achieve. So what I want to say is, ndio kuna hizo vitu tunajiprotect nazo, masheria na nini and all that, but at the end of the day, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in what you are doing. Na tukifanya hivyo, that is the greatest protection that tunaweza peana. Hakuna mtu atakuja kuambia ati kwa sababu nimetweet, Bonia ameku-retweet, then you're okay, you are safe. You are safe ikiwa wewe mwenyewe unaamini in what you are doing. And yes, people like Boniface Mwangi, Mufasa and others will come in. As long as you are standing for what is right, na ile kitu unasimamia ni kitu ya sawa, you don't even need to worry about it. People will come, people will follow you, and people will stand with you. So my sister, the onus is on us again. Tujitole, tuamini kitu tunafanya, na hiyo protection itakuja from God, and we'll be able to realize the change that we want to see in this country.
Khalid, just to build up, I heard Boni saying the civil society has failed Kenyans in what they are meant to do in the fight for democracy. I want to hear from you on what the civil society is doing to get us back to where we were or to rectify this situation.
It's true. I think as civil society, kuna vile definitely the situation we have in the country is not where we hope to see ourselves. I've been in civil society for around 15 years. I'm almost 40. And what we are seeing ni kwamba we are just going round in circles. The issues we were discussing in early 2000s, kutoa moi, sijui kufanya nini, they are the same issues zenye tunaongelea sahi. Those days we were saying revolution, those days we were saying, katiba, and we have to, they are the same issues that we are discussing, we are, trying to find a way out. So in a way, you can say that, yes, indeed, we have not made we have not realized the change we wanted to realize. But of course, there's efforts. There are people who are trying to do things. And the saddest part is that when people sell out, for me, I think when you're in civil society, when you're trying to achieve some of the things, Boniface ali crossover, akaingia into politics, Because we are told, how do you want to change this country to have good leaders if the good people do not want to take over the reins of power, So these are some of the issues I think we need to discuss. I agree that civil society, to a large extent, has not realized the changes that we want to see. But of course, there are efforts that have been made by people like Willy Mutunga and others who are in civil society, na tumefika mahali tumefika. So it's also important for us to take stock of what we've been able to gain or we've been able to achieve, but then also not lose focus on what we are supposed to realize, which so far we've not been able to realize. Our country is far behind from where we were hoping to be 10, 15 years back.
Okay, thank you. There's a question?
All right. As we wait the microphone to reach them, Sylvia,
Yes.
it's interesting. I can see the conversation online is getting hotter and hotter. It's very important that we also read some of the comments. Boniface Mufasa and Hussein Khalid. People are burning online. If you allow me, some few of the comments here. Valiant wife says art and culture have a direct bearing on our capacity to face today's complex issues. Alan Wangulu says application of democracy in the COVID-19 era has proved impossible, especially with a country like ours that is still struggling with democracy in the first place. Valiant says, since the outbreak of COVID-19 began, democracy and human rights have worsened. The percentage is rising now. Leah Simiu says, yeah, good point. At this stage, we cannot tegemea being stage artists peke yake. We think outside the box. What? Hashtag Mufasa. Hashtag defending democracy. Mary Bada says, as much as there is COVID-19, the government needs to come out clearly with a strategy to support the majority youth who are jobless. Corruption is also another problem for this nation. Most opportunities are not being realized due to too much corruption within the systems. DVD Husfeed is saying, do we really have rights as humans? Democracy is killing us bit by bit. Let's speak out. Just read the last one and then get back to you, Sylvia. Masika Mohammed is saying, the problem in Kenya is lack of accountability for serious human rights violations by the security forces, including extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances, remain a major concern, despite promises by President Uhuru Kenyatta to address key issues. So, Sylvia, there are so many comments. I start reading here. I'll finish tomorrow. We are saying keep on writing, keep on commenting. We'll keep on reading as the day unfolds. So back to you, Sylvia.
Okay, thank you. Just from the comments, everyone is complaining. Of course, there's human rights violations. Of course, there's the government not protecting Kenyans. And of course, there's that bit of course, people have gone to court to fight, to have the government comply with certain directives and all those things. But we are not seeing the government actually complying. Of course, there's one thing getting an order, and then there's the other bit of the government is not complying. So it's like we are on our own in this country. I would like to hear comments from all the three of you on that. Anyway.
Imerudi. The court orders are very important, even if they're defied, because the people in power won't be in power forever. And if that order is against Matiang'i or Kibisho, one day when they're not in power, they'll be enforced, because things change. So it's very important that you go to court and you get a court order or a ruling in your favor, because it can be effective, it doesn't have an expiry date. So don't fear going to court. I was telling Giuliani yesterday, actually, the reason you go to the police, not because they're going to investigate Alfred Mutua. You go to the police because if anything happens to you, they'll ask, did you report? So you go to the police, have an OB number. It looks like a procedure, but it's very important to actually have that small piece of paper, because things change. The TDR's report is still a very alive document. A time will come when it can be effected. So I don't see them like useless court orders. The people in power might see them that way, but they won't be in power forever. So our time will come.
Okay.
I think tunaishi time ingine ngori sana. May I remember a time when the opposition ilikuwa ina work. I think the fact that we don't have an organized opposition party ni ngori sana in terms of democracy. Democracy itself ni ruled by the people. Na we elect leaders, expecting them to represent our will. But now umepata government imeshachukuliwa. Kuna opposition party. Na hiyo time yote, remember, yote tuko watoi na mkumbuka opposition party ndio ilikuwa where wase whistleblower wanatokezea kwa opposition party. Like you hear all these things zenye atungejua ordinarily as Kenyans wenye tuko huko chini. But because of other leaders, my MPs na wanajua hizo deals, wange bring about hizo story kwa parliament. But right now, hakuna opposition party. Kila kitu ni chini ya maji. Whoever anataka kuiba nini ni chini ya maji kila mtu. So I think hiyo kitu ina affect sana voices za watu. When you think about it, basically opposition parties were frameworks for future leaders. There were young leaders who would wangengara siku ya debates na nini, because that's what opposition parties used to do. A strong opposition party would bring about debates in parliament na nini, and we would know issues more than happen. But right now, ni chini ya maji. And then again, I want to talk about history undermining. I feel like the government imetumia COVID ku undermine rights za watu. Like sana, because right now the watu wako distracted na hosi zimejaa, nini, hakuna food, hakuna nini. Then even you look at it, wanatumia COVID kuwa wase. Wanatumia COVID ku lock out wase from jobs. Job yako labda inabambanga from 9 ama 10 p.m. Alafu ameshaeka curfew. Hauna food, hauna nini. So yeah, over COVID period, na feel undermining ya rights za watu, using COVID as an excuse. And the fact that as well, people are distracted by the COVID situation itself.
Yeah, for me, I agree with both Boni and Mufasa. Na ni kusema, yes, there are avenues. Kila mtu kuna zile njia tunaweza kutumia kufikia rights and democracy. You know, we can use the courts, we can use our leaders, we can use, but even going to court, you must overcome your fear. At nikienda kotini, nitakuwa targeted, nitakuwa hivi. Going for those political, yeah, most importantly for me, it's for us as individuals to understand that the power is within us. I think kuna statement recently Wanjiru alisema vizuri during the Sabasaba Day protests. If we lose our fear, they lose their power. So it starts with us. Tukiacha kuogopa, tukiacha kuona sisi, there is nothing we can do. Tukiacha kuona whatever I will do, ama mahali nitaenda, asitaweza kupata any result. If we can overcome and believe that we have the capacity to change, that we have the capacity to make a difference, then hata wao wakiona watu yani wameamka, that they are not afraid anymore. They are not afraid of going to the streets. They're not afraid of going to courts or to going to political rallies to fight for democracy. Then they will start losing their power. But as long as we are fearful, unajua mentality ya karao kwa demonstration ni nini? Wanaona watu wana protests, they come na tear gas na marungu wanaanza kuwakimbiza. In their minds, they know very well that wakianza kufanya hivyo, you will turn and you will start running away. But what I learned, particularly from Boniface Mwangi, wakianza kukuja, if you stay put, unajua watakuja paka mahali huko na watashindwa sahi wafanyaje? Because they expect you to run away so that they can chase you and tear gas you and arrest you or something like that. Have you seen National Geographic when an antelope ikianza kufukuzwa na simba? Kuna kule tule tu antelope twingine tudogo watujui kukimbia. So what tunasema tu hapo tunakuwa put. So that lion inakuja inafika inaanza sala. This animal is not running away. Inaanza kucheza nayo. Have you noticed that? Yeah, paka that small animal doesn't know that it's supposed to run away, but then when it starts running away, then the lion now understands, now this is what I'm supposed to do. So it's the same mentality. Police, people in power have that thinking that when they come at you, when they charge at you, you will run away. But when you show them that you're not fearful, that you're actually standing for what you believe in, wacha wakuje wafike hapo, wao ndio wachanganikiwe, washindwe kujua sasa ni nini tunafaa kufanya. So let's remember that when we lose our fear, they will lose their power. So it starts with us.
It starts with us. I don't know if I finished the questions on the floor. I see 3 hands up. We'll take those 3. Her hand was up first. I don't know if we have a mic, or you're able to shout. The lady first.
Okay, my name is Sylvia from Keter Social Justice Center, and my question goes to Khalid. Let me just use personally as Haki Africa. Do you think you're ready to mentor the grassroots organizations to be on the front line? Because basically, sisi ndio tunakuanga ground kifanya this documentation of cases. But it ends up Haki Africa ndio walifuatilia kesi, these other organizations ndio walifuatilia hizo kesi. So do you think, are you ready to mentor these grassroots organizations to be on the front line in following up cases? Thank you.
You can answer. The mic goes to the next person.
Thank you, Sylvia, from Keter, and I think that's already happening. And particularly for us at the coast, sisi tulijua kuhusu social justice centers when we came for Mtetezi Karo. I don't know if you remember Caroline Mwanda. When was it, 2017? When she was killed. Now, and you know, at the coast, these movements are not that strong. And sometimes we sit, tunacheki Kayole, mseme wawa na makarao, and the next day it's hell. You know, that is not really alive at the coast. Unajua coast kidogo mambo ni mdogo mdogo pole, you know? But we've already started doing that. And when we came here, we saw what is happening, and we saw that the movement is strong, and you know, we went back to the coast and we said we have to start this. So we've been able as an organization, Haki Africa, to initiate a number of grassroots social justice movements all over the coast. I think now they're about 13. And they are working very closely with the National Social Justice Centers movement. Hata mdosi hapa saa zingine anakujanga huko kuwafundisha, kuwapatia advice on what needs to be done. But yes, we are already doing that. And I also want to say there is that realization. A number of organizations have also approached the Justice Centers movement. I think it's wrong for me when people endanger their lives, they put themselves on the front line, and then the work that they do is just taken by another institution that runs away with that. I think that's very wrong. It should not be happening. The question is, how do we build the capacity? Yeah, grassroots movements, grassroots organizations to be able to speak for themselves. In as much as there is a role for the Justice Centers movements, we also need to appreciate kuna role ya hawa KHRC na nani na wengine wenye wako hapo. Probably they can get the message to Parliament or to other places that may not be directly within the reach of justice centers. So the idea is to create synergy, to know where one can reach and one cannot, but then make sure that you don't take advantage of an institution, of a people, of a group, just because labda hawana capacity or something like that. And like I said, that's already being worked on. We are working with the social justice centers across the country. As Haki Africa, I can speak for me. As Haki Africa, we've tried to mobilize these networks to come together. Was it last month? We had a network here, the whole country, and we are working to build capacity so that they can be able to do these things on their own. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thanks. My name is Kefa from Kayole, Wahenga. Na swali yangu yenye nilikuwa nayo leo, nilikuwa nauliza, what's your take on kuna hii kitu ya vaccination saizi ya COVID? Ni like imekuwa ni kama lazima kila mtu akuwe vaccinated. Like to me naona bado haiwezi. Nadungwa kwa nini? Yeah, unaona? So na alafu saizi mawera nini ukitaka kwenda mahali lazima ukwenda hiyo nini ya vaccine. So wewe hebu maoni yenu kuhusu hii kitu ni gani?
Ni aje Kefa? Unajua kwa nini umeketi hapo? kwa sababu wakati ulikuwa mdogo ulidungwa dawa ya polio, measles na hizo vigonjwa zingine zote. Hii vaccination imefanywa utafiti, imepatikana iko poa na watu wanadungwa. Konda kuishi, dungwa vaccination. It's very important. We have to stop these conspiracy theories. A friend lost their sibling because alikata kupigwa vaccination. It's very usilie upuzi ama usibewe rahisi hivyo sana. Kuna ma conspiracy 666 nani. Hizo ni story tu za huko nje, lakini vaccination ukipata chance dungwa, it will save your life.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
My name is Heavyweight from Dandora. So my short is directly to Hussein Khalid. So when we talk of democracy, it should be applied thoroughly and properly every second, every minute. But for me, it's on a different perspective rather, because in problem solving, we tend to look for a solution, not complain. So what will be your input to the Pan-African level in terms of, on a long-term note, in terms of natural resources? For example, Chapter 5 of the National Constitution, under Land and Environment, Article 63, we see cross-border related issues. Things have been happening like our Kenyan police being tortured like in Uganda with the authorities over issues like Migingo. For example, we see also in county number 31 recently what was happening also in the camps maybe, because I feel like in one way or the other we have so much majored into the minor and minorly majored into the, it's like in the other way around. So under the UNHCR, United Charter, documents on human rights, what will be your input on that? So, shukran. Big up pia Boni manze, ametetea huo youth man hapo, amecheza na rada kaya.
Asante. And hizo ni swali ngumu. Cross border, UNHCR, Pan-Africanism. And this is what we are saying. Kitu madam amesema pale. Unajua kuna hii tendency that mseka ametoka Dandora ama mseka ametoka Madhare ama Kayole hizi jua hizi vitu. Na swali ameniuliza mimi hata sijui venye nitaanza kujibu. So unaona? So in short, kitu tunasema ni Pan-Africanism is an ideal that tunataka kuachieve, but we can only achieve Pan-Africanism ikiwa sisi wenyewe in our localities tumeweza kuachieve unity. For us to bring the African states and to build a movement across the continent, we have to start within our home. Ikiwa sisi wenyewe in Kenya, for example, we don't see eye to eye, we are not able to come out together to fight for our rights, as one, then how are we going to lead in terms of bringing the continent together? Issues cross-border and issues that governments have taken advantage of for way too long. Because wanajua wase hawezi kujipanga across borders. If you look at the issue of Uganda, kuna wase walichukuliwa Kenya wakapelekwa Uganda. Kuna issues za Somalia, kuna issues za South Sudan. Every other day, there are issues that are happening across the borders. But because the people do not speak to each other, barriers zenye zimeekwa na mkoloni, unaona community iko divided in between. Because mkoloni ajui ati Wajaluo ni kina nani, kuna Wajaluo Uganda, kuna Wajaluo Kenya, amechora tu line hapo. So we have to look beyond that. For us to achieve Pan-Africanism, lazima tujione sisi ni wa Afrika. Tuache kujiita sisi ni wa Kenya, ni wa Tanzania, and stuff like that. But, to be more specific, I think this is an issue that requires a lot more time for us to be able to kuichambua inside out. But my colleagues may have ideas, for example, using art. How can we bring the continent together? Using activism, tunaweza leta vipi watu pamoja so that we speak as one voice and we are able to counter the West or people wenye wanakuja wakichukua resources zetu wakienda tu nazo.
Wanaturushia mawe hapa. Wanaturushia noma yako. So already Pan-Africanism among artists is actually happening. You'll find a collab between a Tanzanian artist, a Kenyan artist, a Ugandan artist, Kenyan artist, or vice versa. The question about resources actually is very key. So the reason why there's a Migingo fight is about landing landing stages, because Migingo is a landing place. You don't fish there, but it's closer for you. When you fish, you can come to Migingo, then you transport to the mainland. And that's where the fight is. That can only be resolved actually when there's political will. And most of us have no idea why Kibaki never cared about Migingo. Kenyatta doesn't care about Migingo. I think that bothers me. It's not really, it doesn't bother me. It's like, why two presidents, Kibaki? Because this happened during Moi days. Migingo came up as a Kibaki issue, then a Kenyatta issue. But I think there's a bigger issue than Migingo. As you said, borders are colonial constructs. The truth is, even if there are no these borders that we talk about, we're so rooted in tribalism that even that unity is like a mirage. Because as a country of 52 million people, we don't see each other as human beings. We see each other as tribes. When our political leaders, the men and women we love to vote for, stand on a public platform, say, Wakikuyu wamesema, Wajaluo wamesema, Wakalenjin wamesema, sisi kama Wakamba, sisi kama Wataita. Sasa mnataka mfungulie hizi borders zikuwe no states na already hapa you're in villages. First get national unity, then you can talk about Pan-Africanism and African states unity. But for right now, our biggest problem after corruption is tribalism. Because when I was running for office, people saw me as a Kikuyu, others saw me as other things. And it's a big problem because most of you in this room are very young. Most likely don't even speak your vernacular languages. You don't even know that vernacular language. But because your parents told you stereotypes about these communities or stereotypes about a particular leader, you find yourself hating a particular tribe because of what you're told. So let's talk about how we can be less tribal as a nation. Then we can become an East African nation. Then we can a greater Eastern African nation, and then to become the entire continent. Santi.
Yeah, just to follow up in Bunia amesema in terms of just kwanza nationally between na struggle now. When you think about artists wengi, we don't really have a framework to support artists vizuri. You end up being an artist. Usangapa ni hapa hivi ni artists. Nice. Most of the times unajipata, you go to school dreaming of careers. Like unafikiria like I want to be this, I want to be a pilot, nini. And then by the end of school, you look for a job. Si career anymore. Job yote yenye takam. Whether uko na degree ya BBIT or money doesn't matter. And that's because hatuna opportunities. So unemployment is a big deal. Watu wengi wanaenda kuwa artist, not because ulikuwa unataka kwa hiyo uko young, but because ni accessible at the point of life yenye uko. Unaangalia, okay, sasa hizi, at least kama ni usanii ni mic peke yake, so you don't need school fees, you need to pen na paper, unaanza kuandika. Artists nafaa wasupportiwe. Especially artists wa social, wenye wanaandika mambo ya social issues na vitu kama hizo zote. I mean, generally, kaangalia kaa KNT. KNT is the only stage yenye tuko nayo yenye ni Equip TV. Not just in Nairobi, but in Kenya. So kila mse tuna book KNT. Ukienda kubook kuseme kaa Alliance kuperform hapo nje ni 120k. Unatoa wapi 120k before? Nafua kuna 120k before. Unakama hapa labda do yao ni 40 ama 30, but still if we had more stages, then tunaweza create events, then tunaweza perform, at least kuna hiyo advantage. Tunaweza kupata kitu kadogo. So I believe artists nafaa supportiwe, not just education wise, inafaa kuwe na grants za education. Mse kaulile mwana school fees ama nini unaweza supportiwa na gava somewhat increase level yako education. Another thing, grants. Alafu pia basically empowering artists directly. Utapata opportunities zenye ziko most of the times, labda wanaweza ku-enable ufanye kitu ingine, but haikujangi directly to the artist. Si ni kweli wasanii? Like wewe mwenyewe una need dough, wewe mwenyewe una need equipment, labda una need buy guitar, inafaa ubuy nini, but hatunanga hizo grants. Hatuna hizo opportunities za kwenda co-write together, coexist together, kwenda uende Uganda meet artists wa Uganda, wako inspire, uongele situations za Uganda, kuja Kenya, uko na new or a different perspective of things. So I believe artists individually inafaa tukue hizo opportunities ndio tuna lack za empowerment, tuna lack sana in terms of opportunities, in terms of grants, in terms of finance na kila kitu. And hiyo ikikam, at least now unaweza kuwa in a better place ya travel around. Yeah.
Okay. There was one question down here. I don't know if that person has put their hand down. I'll take that as the last question. If you... Okay, I figured I have locked out someone. You're my last question at the back and that one.
Hola, I'm Timo GK, mini poet. First of all, I would like to appreciate artists. Like artists, I find artists need service providers like anyone else. Like the teachers, like the matatu guys, like the health service providers. Artists need service providers. We provide entertainment. And no one can survive bila entertainment. Ni ngoma ngapi umesikia so far hadi ufike hapa hivi? Hiyo ni entertainment. So first of all, na big up all artists wenye wako hapa hivi. Nyinyi ni wa maana, Now, and on that line, sasa niingie kwa swali and my issue hapa hivi inaenda Mufasa hii. Corona called out the establishments we had. Ilituonyesha venye tumekuwa tukifanya mambo, we have never been prepared for the worst. Hivyo ndo ilituonyesha. So what can we do as artists ili tusijipate kwa hiyo situation again if that happens? And also Corona, another thing it did, ilileta a lot of disruption. Si venye tunafanya mambo saa hii, venye tunafikiria mambo saa hii, si venye ilikuwa pre-Corona. People have changed, everyone, kutoka watoi hadi watu wazee, kila kitu imechange. So how can we as artists take advantage of that, and has that changed perception ya watu about art before Corona and after Corona? Ivoto.
Thank you. Mufasa, you can answer as the mic goes back there.
Okay. COVID, for me, inaonekana challenge wasanii directly. Basically, I was saying, you can't depend on the stage peke yake. Lazima expand revenues zako. Personally, I learned that over COVID really hit, sikuwa na events at all, but I had a book. Na nilikuwa nategemea book kulipa rent. Nilikuwa najikaza tu nasema, na social media nikiuza book moja per day, by the end of the month, nimelipa rent. So I think expand revenues zetu. Kuna Spotify, kuna nini, kuna Apple, kuna hizi channels zote. Apart from just being a poet, you can have songs. Like songs, by songs I mean collaborate na singers. When unajulikana. The advantage of being a poet is how late competition per se. Una compliment whatever a singer has. It's easier for you to approach a bigger artist because kitu yako ni different. You're not competing. It doesn't matter how many numbers you have or manini. What you're giving is a different thing. So have songs, have poems, yes, but as well write. Tumia social media. Tumia simu kupost vitu kwa YouTube na everywhere. Tumia simu. In era wasana tumia simu na yeah. Tumia simu. Think about books as well. Na ukiangalia books, don't just write books generally, but angalia how you can specify the content. Jiambie, hii inaenda kwa nani? Who's my audience? You can decide to write something about fathers. Fathers most of the times, fathers wanakuanga ignored. Andika kitu ukiangalia, ukijiambia audience ya mine inataka kuzia wanaume. Inataka kuzia madem. Inataka kuzia mamadha. As in, think about audience yako while you're writing. Usiandike tuseme tu book imejaa poems, nini, to strategize. Alafu even generally, I hope, somehow I feel like wasanii nafaa to strategize. Unakumbuka time yenye System Unit, kina DJ Mo na Sadiq walikuanga gospel DJs for a while, waka bring gospel ikakuwa main thing. Gospel ika take over. That was strategy. Also walieka wase wao ma DJ wokwe nation, wokwe nini, wokwe hii place, and then all of a sudden gospel ikakuwa big. I believe we also need to strategize in terms of who can we talk to, collaborate with, ama basically ongea nao ndo vitu zetu zianze kuchezwa. How can we make poetry in the labda time ya before news? What if a poet was performing before news? How can we do all these things? Jo kazi yetu isikuwe tu just poetry for it being poetry, but rather ikuwe work yenye everyone anataka kusikia, ama inaongelea vitu more than just being you angle ya poem, achi kwe work yenye ni art, achi kwe art more than just being a poem. All right.
Thank you. The last question. We'll take the last question.
Naitwa Chief Janam. I'm from Kibera. I've stayed in Kibera more than 20 years, but sijaiona maandamano. Sijaiona watu wakienda for democracy, Karen, Lavington. Does it democracy na manishanga for the less watu wa ghetto? Ama unaona tu Githurai, Kayole, Dandora, Kibera. Sijaiona wase wa Karen na them wanakuja kwetu. Hiyo ndio swali yangu.
Boni, this one I give it to you.
Hiyo swali mpoa sana because hata unajua Raila na Karen nafanyangi campaign Karen hiyo na Kibera because uko ndio kura ziko. You know, if we impact the guys in this room to go back to the communities and talk about democracy and the issues that you are raising here, then we'll impact the entire community. The guys who get mobilized to go to the streets to protest when an election is stolen or when a politician is arrested come from the ghettos. So if we win the ghettos with the right political message, then we have won the country. That's the reason why. As a kogero ndio ma influencer, hao ndio bado kukiwa na nomo tume makarova waue. That's the percent of the struggle of this country. Ukiangalia struggle ya multi-party democracy kwa Kamkunji ni ghetto. Hapo ndio watu wako roho juu sana. Juu wala wako Karen and the other places, hao watapigania democracy. Wako tu sawa, even if they don't vote. Wako na private healthcare, private schools for their kids and such things. So the people who rely on public social amenities are the people who we need to target more because they're the majority in terms of voting and they're the majority in terms of voice. And that's the reason why democracy na target wasio mtaa, juu wasio mtaa ndio wanaweza change country, sio watu wengine.
Okay, thank you. Now, I want us to, as we conclude, I want us to talk about the upcoming elections. Of course, in the clip that was played, there was that bit of, during COVID, there has been quite a bit of elections, and we saw in Uganda where social media was shut or the internet was shut. Was it in Burundi? I can't remember. They couldn't allow international observers to come in. Tanzania. And these international observers are meant to observe and see if the election is actually free and fair. With our upcoming elections and the discussions that have been there, we've had, I think, some politicians say they're looking to postpone the election. With this COVID-19 still here and what most governments are using COVID-19 as an excuse to either postpone elections or to go digital, what is your feel around this issue for elections, and can Kenya go digital in terms of the national election? I will start from here, then Boni, then Mufasa. Sorry.
Thanks. Maybe to start with your question, can Kenya go digital? Of course, definitely we can. We, run one of the most expensive elections in the world. If you look at the amount of money spent per individual. So yes, money can be better put to use and do it digitally. So there's nothing that can stop us, but not for these elections. The biggest problem we have with Kenya and elections is the mistrust. In Kenya, everyone doubts everyone. Hakuna mtu anaamini mtu yoyote. That's why our elections are expensive. Politicians don't trust each other. They don't trust the IEBC don't trust the police don't trust the opposition doesn't trust the people don't trust the government. So there's a lot of mistrust everywhere. Hakuna mtu yoyote mwenye anaamini anyone. That's why we go to we take extra steps, precautionary measures to make sure Boni anaweza iba kura. Sasa wacha tufanye hivi na hivi na hivi, and we incur so much. Nae Boni ana doubt Mufasa. You see, Mufasa is going to do this and this and this, so we have to put measures zenye sasa pia zitamfanya yeye atrust. Nae Mufasa ana doubt Hussein. Unajua hata huyu anaweza fanya. So we end up having so many rules, so many restrictions, so many, issues because we don't trust each other. Tribalism, corruption, and everything. So for the coming elections, I think we are going to have a very, very challenging election For the first time, and not for the first time, 10 years zimeisha, yes. You know, we are going to get a new president. Majority of the governors, these are top positions, wote, like 60-70% are out. So the stakes are high. The stakes are high. As Kenyans, we have made politics, you know, the holy grail. Ukishaingia politics, wewe unalipwa, utakula pesa ya mwananchi and everything. So the stakes are very high. But then the question is, what are we as the people ready to do to protect the ballot? That is what it boils down to. And I'm feeling like coming elections, Kenyans will not just allow, you know, anyone to just walk over them. I feel, as you know, what has been said here, kuna some level of ile tunasema watu wamekuwa pushed to the wall to a certain extent that now they are feeling they need to fight back. And that is where now we are saying the time has come for us to stand up for what we believe in, for what is our right. I hope the coming elections, Kenyans will stand up and demand. Hizi mambo sijui za postponement, sijui kukua forced, sijui katiba ibadilishwe, sijui nini. I hope Kenyans will stand up and stand for what is right for them. I think that's how I'll sum it up.
Okay. So it is impossible to postpone these elections. And here are my two reasons. Number one, you'll have to change the constitution, which they won't be able to do that within the next 1 year. The second thing, Raila Odinga is very old and he wants to become president. So if they postpone the election, that means he's going to get it when he's near death. So Raila Odinga will not allow them to postpone the election because time is not on his side. So the two reasons why I believe they can't postpone these elections. And then we said everything that needs to be said. It's only the people who can protect the vote. It's only us who can protect the vote. No technology, no IBC official can protect the vote by themselves. It's us who vote who can protect the vote.
I think wamesema kila kitu. Nitaongezea tu probably I'm hoping that over this period, as much as kuna protests, I hope that kumekuwa na mind revolution. Because I believe for such revolution to happen, the first thing that I go in mind, will push her to the wall. I'm hoping that at least this time, for sure, it's a beginning of a revolution for sure.
Very well. I want to conclude. Thank you so much. Not unless there's anything you want to say as we conclude, I'll give every one of you 1 minute, 1 minute. You can conclude in summation what you want to say. 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Mufasa, I'll start from you.
Mindasema, the whole thing about justice, about human dignity. Lazima tuanze kuipush individually. Like usiku unangojea wase wengine uko nje. Like in your own space, whether uko kwa hao, whether ni neighbor, whether ni bro yako, whether ni sister yako, if someone is being treated unfair na uko hapo, it doesn't make sense ukiongelea vitu uko nje, but uko ndani wewe ni ule msee. Ukiangalia the way schools are run, even from the beginning, when we vote for people in schools, like high school na nini, unavotianga msee cause ni mtall, cause sijui ni mweupe, sijui ni mnini, sijui ni mnini, ni mfani. But we need to learn hizi vitu mapema from the time when we're young. We need to know why we are voting from the time we're young. Hatukivote tu prefect from the beginning. Ukienda student leaders uni, lazima tuanze kufikiria. Because utangalia hata hakuna female leaders kwa student union. Like ni wale sana. Tuanze kujiuliza mapema hizi vitu from the time we're young. So I believe education inahitajika before we start thinking about voting uko mbele. Achi ianze tuko wadogo. Thanks.
Bonnie?
So there will be no revolution without love, because love is the foundation of everything else. And you have to start with self-love. And when you have self-love, then you love others. You love justice, you love equality. So whatever you do, just get some love inside of you. Because also love means you know when to step back, when to protest, when to do self-care, and when to get involved. So search within yourself and love yourself. Because the world will doubt you, they'll call you names, they'll attack you. And if you don't have self-love, you're going to break. So find within yourself to love yourself. Because no one can love yourself or love you better than you can love yourself. Start with yourself. The Bible says that love others as you love yourself, which means that if you don't have love, if you don't have self-love and you have no love internally, you're incapable of loving someone else. So love yourself, people.
Thanks. I think my brothers have said what I wanted to say, so I'll just take this opportunity to thank you guys for also listening to us, sharing your thoughts, listening to mambo zetu hata zenye sisi wenyewe tunazifikiria zaidi. And we say we appreciate for Steve and everyone else, of course, Sylvia, for everything. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to thank the panel. Thank you for availing time to be here. We don't take it for granted. Thank you so much for being here. The plenary, the floor, thank you so much for your questions. I'll just sum it up with one thing. It is upon us to defend this democracy. Let's not let the government step on us. We have the power. We've been given the power by the Constitution, and we have the power to actually put the government on their toes. Thank you so much. I will hand it over back to the MC.
Thank you. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Let us appreciate our super moderator. Before these gentlemen step down, I'll request them to just come stand here, because this is an opportunity for the young activists seated here. And one, just before I carry on what I want to do here, I just want to have a quick run on the comments online. There's a lady known as Simi Ulea, just called the name Hussein Khalid, nakaeka emoji, inafanya hivi. I don't know what she means. A round of applause. Thank you, Hussein. Esandarigo is saying democracy provides a natural environment for the protection and effective realization of human rights. And then we have Lieutenant G.M. Mose. He's saying, great masterpiece from Mufasa. Round of applause. His courage is real and an example to what it takes to defend democracy. Youths have to follow Mufasa's courage as an example. Viva Mufasa. Apige nduru kidogo. All right, another one, Millie CK is saying she's following from Mombasa. Thank you. We have Dennis Chemwit saying, I agree with Boniface Mwangi. Corruption is the biggest issue. Even with COVID-19, the government, I repeat, the government misuses the funds. Wow. Selina Muchori is saying, the reason why most people are afraid to demonstrate is because the peaceful demonstrations end up with the police harassing and arresting the protesters, whereby some even end up losing their lives. And for that comment now, I request the gentlemen tuweze kusimama tafadhali, rise onto your feet. You know, revolution is not a joke. You must be very quick as activists. You rise up, you rise up. Amasivyo. So now we want to observe a moment of silence for the great Kenyans that have lost their loved ones, they have lost their lives during this COVID period, been abducted, killed, you know, wengine wamepotezwa, tujua kwa wapi, pengine wako mbele ya baba, miili yao haijapatikana. So we observe one moment of silence. And after that, I'll request the two gentlemen, the two activists, plus Mufasa and our lady here, watuongoze kwa wimbo mapambano, because we are here because of democracy. So ladies and gentlemen, we start observing a moment of silence now. And may the lost beautiful souls rest in eternal peace. Some amen, please. Yes. So now, comrades power. Comrades power. Viva with democracy, viva. Viva with democracy, viva. Viva with human rights, viva. Viva with gender equality, viva. All right. Microphone mchukue jamani. Mtuongoze kwa wimbo wa mapambano. Ama vipi? Ama vipi? Boniface said here is ready to teach. So we have an opportunity here. We can teach.
All right. I'll
Asante. I thought you had forgotten. I have a mask. I'm safe.
Get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Hey, what's it?
Sing.
Get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Hey, get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. And then pull a lunch.
Is that enough? Is that enough? Hussein Khalid, please. Yes. We are demonstrating here. We have started demonstrations. We are live.
For me, so that you don't target any other people after me, tutaimba wimbo wa taifa kwa sababu ni maombi na pia unatufundisha kuwa patriotic.
Tunakubali hiyo?
Yeah.
Tunakubali hiyo?
Yeah.
Tunataka gani? Mipambano.
Mungu nguvu yetu, ilete baraka kwetu, haki iwe ngao na mlinzi, na tukae na undugu, amani na uhuru, raha tupate na ustawi. Ama mnataka wimbo ya mapambano?
Yeah.
Kujeni.
Haya.
Kujeni tuimbe pamoja.
Thank you.
My brother from Dandora.
Yeah.
Tafadhali kuja tuimbe wimbo ya mapambano.
Super.
Tutaimba pamoja. Tutaimba pamoja. Kujeni. The stage is ours.
Yeah.
Space is
some
taken.
five young people.
You don't wait for it.
Yes, I love the power of women. I love the power of women. Comrade power. Comrade power.
Power.
Comrade power.
Power.
All right. Take the microphone.
Where is my sister Monyali? There's a sister who asked a question here.
She's here.
Songa tuimbe pamoja. Mufasa.
Yes.
Boni. Usitoroke kuja tuimbe wimbo ya mapambano. Acha imbe mambo ya pambano alafu tuta.
All right.
Sawa.
Wimbo wa mapambano.
Hii ni wimbo ya mapambano ingine.
Tuimbe tu wimbo ya mapambano.
Mapamba.
Si tumeshashikwa na makarao sasa.
Kupi.
Haya, tuimbe wimbo wa mapambano.
Tuimbe.
Mkono.
All right. Close to your heart.
Yes.
Get the feeling. Kasirika.
Kupigwa na
kupokonywa maisha, hakutatuzuia sisi wananchi kuwa uhuru wetu na haki ya jasho letu na haki ya jasho letu. Tumekataa kupiga magoti.
We sing, ladies and gentlemen.
Mbele ya hawa wauaji. Bila shaka sisi pia ni watu. Hali ya utumwa tumeikataa. Hali ya utumwa tumeikataa. Tutanyakuwa mashamba yetu, tupiganie uhuru wetu, tuikomboe elimu yetu, utamaduni na viwanda vyetu. Tukomboe utamaduni na viwanda vyetu.
Sisi hatutaki kudhulumiwa, hatutaki tena mauaji, ili kupe tuliangushe, haki na uhuru zichanue, haki na uhuru zichanue, uhuru wetu wa Kenya, uhuru wetu wa Kenya, tupiganie katiba yetu wa Kenya, katiba yetu wa Kenya, tutekeleze maisha yetu wa Kenya, maisha yetu wa Kenya, tupiganie.
Ole yo!
Oh, yo. Comrades power! Comrades power! A round of applause. Thank you, Boniface Mwangi. Thank you, Hussein Khalid. Thank you, Mufasa the Poet. Asante sana, Sylvia. Tuwapigie makofi tafadhali. Tuwapigie makofi. It's a rare occasion. It's a rare opportunity for us to have such amazing Kenyan activists in the house. Asanteni sana. Ladies and gentlemen, just announce that tumbo limeanza kukwangura na pia